What's up, guys? Welcome back for another episode of the GhettoRig podcast. We got a really cool guest in the house. It's episode 169. For those who don't know, let's go through some quick introductions. Those who don't know, my name is Eddie. To my left, directly, we got Jay. Behind the camera, we got me. We got a really cool guest in the house, like as I said a second ago. JR the Lion Ridge, the number 2 ranked flyweight in the BKFC. A bunch of other accolades as well, I'm sure. We're going to go into that in just a second. But yeah, JR, if you want to just give a small introduction on, a little bit about you, your age, stuff like that, so people know a little bit.
All right. Once again, I'm JR Ridge. My fight name is the Lion. I'm currently signed with BKFC. I'm a number 2 ranked flyweight in my division. And I'm excited to get on this podcast with my fellow boys.
Yeah. Thank you, brother. We appreciate you coming, man. I really appreciate you taking the time to come out. I know it's not the earliest and most convenient thing to do, but I appreciate it. I really do. So where did your fighting journey start, right? Like your martial arts in general. I know you come from a not so traditional martial arts background from what I'm aware of. If you want to go a little more into that, I don't know where it all started.
Yeah, so it all started back in Texas.
Where in Texas?
You know where Lubbock is?
No.
It's actually
Tumbleweed country
yeah.
the other side. No?
It is, man. It's flat, dry. I mean, there's dirt and tumbleweed.
Mickey, can you put it up on a map just so we can show it?
But yeah, it happened. It started back in Texas. I started at a kickboxing gym.
Okay.
And
what was it again? How do you spell it?
Lubbock.
Lubbock. L-U-B-B-O-C-K. B as in Lubbock, Texas. That's where Texas Tech is.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Okay.
That's where Texas Tech is. It's I wouldn't say it's like a small town, but it's a pretty big little city, honestly. There's 5 high schools.
Okay, shit. Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, obviously, and there's Texas Tech.
So that's about, what would you say, about an hour away from Albuquerque and about an hour, no, maybe 2 hours away from Albuquerque and 2 hours away from Dallas?
I think it's about 3.5 hours. Yeah.
From both?
Yeah.
Okay.
A little further to Albuquerque.
And you right in the middle of that fucking desert. Like that's all flat country right there.
It's dry.
And it looks like there's really one fucking highway that gets out there and just one way out, right?
It's I-40.
Okay.
Wait.
Shit, okay.
I-40's up through Amarillo. I actually went to elementary, middle school, and high school in Amarillo, directly north of Lubbock.
No shit. So how long was that drive?
From Amarillo to Lubbock, like an hour and a half.
Wait. The buses used to take it up? Like, did you take a bus or parents just kind of like?
No. Like I grew up in Amarillo, but I then moved to Lubbock. I then moved to Lubbock.
That's when you started kickboxing. Okay.
I started kickboxing in Amarillo.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, in Amarillo. So I started there, started kickboxing at this little kickboxing gym. I did it just because I was tired of playing football and high school sports, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And turns out I was pretty good at it. And then
Zoom, hey.
I just checked. I'm working on it.
And then my coach,
thanks, Alex. He's checking right now.
And then my coach that took me overseas, he actually came to the United States to go to get his degree. So he went to Texas Tech. He was a Chinese. He was from China.
So when you say overseas, where?
I fought like multiple fights overseas in China.
In China, okay.
Most of them in China. But I was kickboxing at the time, and then this coach comes into the gym. He's like, "Hey, I've got, a fight overseas, and I'm looking for some fighters for some weight classes. Like, let's have a tryout." So he basically had a tryout.
And how old are you now? About 18, 20?
I was like 16, 17.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so you were like you were not even 18 fighting already.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So before I met him, Coach Lee, I was doing like local kickboxing shows. Like I fought in Clovis, New Mexico. I fought all through little towns in Texas.
Gotcha.
But yeah, after that tryout, went and fought overseas, and then I continued fighting in that sport, which is called Sanchu. Basically, it's called Sanda.
Okay.
It's similar to Russian Sambo. You can punch, kick, throw. You get points by throwing. So
Okay.
if you can imagine like kickboxing with judo.
Okay.
So if you can
Yeah, it's
imagine
very
that,
similar to
very
sambo, yeah.
yeah, very similar. And I fought in that sport. I made the USA team.
Knees and elbows allowed.
Depending on where you're fighting.
Okay.
So for like the World Championships and like Pan American Games, you can't knee and elbow, but you can you can in like the professional fights
Okay.
where you fight in an actual boxing ring. So whenever
Gotcha.
like the Pan American Games and World Championships, you fight on a elevated surface, and then it's called a lei tai. So
Could you look that up, maybe?
so it's an elevated like
Podium or whatever.
podium, kind of like you guys remember Bloodsport?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You remember kind of what they fought on?
Okay.
Yeah.
It's similar to that, but obviously bigger, like a
I-
24-foot ring.
What is it called again?
A lei tai.
Lei tai.
Yeah.
Lei tai.
Yes, I'm sure that's not how you spell it, but we're gonna see.
I believe it's LEI.
L-E-I.
It's been such a long time.
Anyway, well, Miggy is looking at that. So you're still about what, 17, 18, 20, 19,
Yeah.
maybe
Mhm.
something like
Yeah.
that. Okay, and then so with Lei Tai, okay, because I'm gonna ask you a bunch of other questions. So yeah, so it looks like you
There
pulled
we
some
go.
of this
Yeah,
up.
there it is.
Okay.
Okay, and did this have like certain like type of uniform that you had to wear, or was it more like
No, you
know-
were like just like trunks,
Okay.
and then like World Championships, Pan American Games, all the amateurs. You do have to wear a chest protector
Okay.
and headgear.
Gotcha.
And then the pro fights, like you just have boxing gloves and your
Yeah.
shorts. Yeah.
So
Interesting.
how long were you in China?
I fought in and out of China probably like 1, 2, maybe 3 years.
So
like,
you
in
were
and out.
flying back and forth.
Yeah, yeah.
What was the longest stay you've had?
I was probably there a month for like the longest stay. Yeah.
Was it like, okay, so you were in China? What would you say one of your favorite cities was? Because I'm sure you.
So every time we'd go overseas, we'd go to Beijing
Mhm.
just to get acclimated to the time change,
Mhm.
and then we'd fly to the city that we're fighting. So I fought in Changsha, I fought in Wuhan, I fought in Hunan province,
Mhm.
Xi'an. I fought the World Championships in Xi'an.
Mhm.
I was a bronze medalist there, and then man, I can't even remember the other places that I fought over there.
How many times do you fight in that specific discipline before moving over to what you're doing now?
I've had a lot of those fights. I think about 10, 15.
Yeah.
Yeah, because some of them were like tournaments.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So you were in 2-3 fights a night.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, sometimes.
Now, so how did you meet the coach?
So he came to this kickboxing gym because he heard like there's some kickboxers there and some fighters, and he just wanted to check it out and see if there's anybody that was, qualified or even,
Potential or whatever.
potential, yeah. And he actually hosted a tryout, and then, he chose me. He chose me to fight at the time. I was a thick boy back then. I fought at 145 my first time overseas, and that's when I realized like, nah, that's not a good choice for my stature. So
Yeah.
that's when I dropped all the way down and started fighting at 56 kilograms. I fought at
125.
123.
123.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. I fought at 123, and then took a hiatus from fighting, and then life took me full circle. Now I'm back in it. I've been signed with Bareknuckle since 2021.
Okay.
No shit.
Yeah.
You've been doing
So
that for a while.
walk us through because we hear all the time the cutting, right? The cutting process or weight cutting, because you walk around what, about like 145, 150
Yeah,
usually.
I would say about 145.
Okay,
150.
so because that's not a big. It's about 22 pounds,
Yeah.
right? Like, walk us through the process. How does it work? Where does it start? When does it stop? How far out does it start? Because you still got to go through a camp, right?
Yeah.
Like, so you have the camp going. You cutting weight. Like, how does that work?
Yeah, so for me, I think an 8-week camp is probably best. Some fighters go through like a 6-week camp. 8 weeks is good enough for me. Just the fact that I've got to lose so much, and I'm a shorter guy, but I hold a lot of muscle. So with me, the diet is very, very strict. Like I'm on a very strict diet. I eat at
When he
certain
says, guys,
times.
when he says he's a big guy, he's fucking lying. He's still got a six pack going on, right? Like he basically has to dry himself down 22 pounds, basically, right? So in 22 pounds, you take 100, bring a calculator up real quick, Miggy. 145, 22 divided by 145. So he's cutting down 15% of his body weight. 15 fucking percent of the body weight. It's not easy. 15% of the body weight is basically like losing a fucking leg. Like a whole leg. He's literally, just think of it. He chops his entire leg
That's
off.
a little more than 15, dog, but okay.
15%?
One leg?
Yeah, bro.
You don't think that's more than 15%?
15 to 18%. That's right there. You know what I mean?
Where'd you get 18 from?
Huh?
Where'd you get 18 from?
That's what what's his name does. In UFC, forget his name. He's got the red stripe on the head.
Oh yeah. I know who you're talking about. I can't remember his name though.
Davison?
Davidson Figueroa. That's Figueroa. Literally, that's what Figueroa does.
No, but I'm saying, where'd you get this 18% value from?
18% value?
Yeah.
What do you mean? 18% of your body.
Forget about it.
18,
So
look,
weight.
18 plus 18. 18 plus 18 is 36, right? If that's your legs, rest of it is about what? 66, 64%.
I would say your legs in total mass take up more than 36%, I think, of your body.
Okay, half a leg. Chop off half a leg. Chop off half a leg.
This conversation is besides the point, right?
Yeah.
Regardless,
Cutting
it
weight.
sucks. It sucks.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get to. It's
terrible.
Yeah.
Right.
So
how's that process start of cutting weight? Just besides diet and stuff like that, what else is there?
So I run 3 miles every day. There's specific days where I do sprints. And then obviously my training is, I train in the mornings and do all my like cardio in the afternoons. And then I cut eating out totally after 6 p.m. and then eat breakfast the next day around 8.
Oh, so 6 is a hard stop.
Hard stop.
And when is this sleep time?
I try to get in bed in camp like 9:30.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then you wake up what, 6 in the morning? 7 in the morning? 8?
8:30.
So you're getting solid almost 11 hours of sleep every night.
I try.
Yeah.
I try. And sometimes, sometimes you'll just lay there, you know what I'm saying? You can't shut your brain off and your body is
Dead, but
dead. Like you're in like full fight camp and your body's just torn down and you still can't go to sleep.
Well, like
Yeah.
rigor mortis, we'll do regular jujitsu and then get home, like after you take a shower and you sit down and your entire body aches. I can only imagine cutting and going through that, like the pain that your body is going through.
So like when I'm cutting too and going through camp, it's like in the beginning, it's like your body is just like, it sucks. It's the worst. And then like you get in better shape as you're cutting down, you get in better shape as you're cutting down. And then it just stays level. And then you just start losing the fat. You know what I'm saying? So it's like a good, like, it sucks badly because you sucking wind, like you're not as in good shape.
Yeah.
And then once you start dropping the weight and then your body catches up to being in good shape, then it's not quite as bad. And then the calorie deficit just continues to just cut the fat off. And by the time I weigh in, I'm like super lean.
So if you don't mind, it's not a secret. If it is, it's okay. I understand trade secrets, right? What does your diet consist of, like daily when you cut?
So this is what I've done my entire career. I always carb in the mornings, have all my carbs in the morning. So it's either oatmeal, some whole grain toast with some almond butter.
Guys, just understanding this is one bowl of oatmeal or whole grain toast. That's it. That's the whole carbs for the day.
Right. And the reason for that, guys, is because I have all day to burn it off. So I have all day to burn it off. And then for my lunch and dinner, it's lean proteins like chicken or fish, some salad, some vegetables, and then if I start feeling crappy like in the middle of the meals, it's because the sugar's low, right? So I'll eat like an orange or an apple just to get like the fogginess in the head away. But yeah, it's pretty simple, but it's very specific at the same time.
And who got you on this diet? Was this something the trial and error you figured out, or this was like you had a dietitian that kind of told you this and you're like, oh shit, this works for me, I'm just gonna continue doing this?
Yeah, I had a conditioning coach back in the day that he took care of like all my conditioning work and also helped me with my diet and meals, and it worked. It was good for me, and I stuck with it. And sometimes fighters, like, they know their body and they know when to eat. they know what they can eat and when they can eat and how their body reacts to it. With me, this just works for me. And the way I do it may not work for like,
Everyone, yeah.
everybody. Everybody's body is totally different how it reacts to food.
By the way, guys, the shameless plug here before we go to the next question Eddie has. Sponsors UFC Gym Largo in St. Petersburg. And if you want to meet JR in person, he's going to be there. He's actually going to be the director of fitness in one of the gyms. So yeah, come out and, shake his hand, take pictures, whatever you need,
Come and hang.
Yeah,
for
sure. Just hang
check
out.
out the new gyms.
Yeah.
Also, Vitality Wellness Center. Don't forget to check out Vitality. My question was going to be, if you don't mind saying, how much are you cutting based off of diet? And then, if you're cutting any water before the actual fight.
Yeah, so when I start camp, normally I'm around 45. I try to be at least. This last camp it was almost like a year off, really, after my title fight against John Dodson. And so I got a little fat, boys.
Yeah.
So whenever I get off fights, I normally take, a month off and don't hit the gym, but I know now that in that case I can't do that just because I just blow up. So
Right.
so I would like to stick around 40 if I could and then cut down. So the diet and cardio obviously, and then I start water loading.
Right.
Honestly, I water load the entire time. Like some
Okay.
people like water load like 2 weeks out from
Okay.
weigh-ins. I water load the entire time.
The entire 8 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, we live in Florida, guys. It's hot.
Yeah.
It's hot. And then, I mean, you're sweating just,
Yeah, your body sheds a lot of water.
lot of water. So I water load through the whole thing.
The door.
So let me ask you this: have you seen it? Because I know a lot of fighters will cut with distilled water, right? Because distilled water is so pure, it has nothing in it, it draws all the salts out. Have you tried playing with that or not really?
I mean, I tried, but it wasn't anything that worked for me.
Mm.
I just did regular old spring water.
Mm.
Yeah. And then I would, get up to 2 gallons, a couple weeks out of the fight. But whenever I was at 2 gallons, I would put electrolytes in the first gallon and then drink the other gallon.
Damn, 2 gallons a day. That's not.
Yeah, 2 gallons a day.
I mean, that's really not that hard when you're doing a lot of exercise, and like you said, it's hot as balls here in Florida.
Hot, man.
So-
And where I train, my coach's gym, there's no AC.
Yeah, I've heard.
There's no AC.
I've heard.
And it's good because one thing I tell people, I'm like, you can't cook with cold grease.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So I just think it helps with the mental, and it makes you a better fighter, I believe.
I found that when I've gotten used to working out outside, and I used to do construction too, so doing like hard lifting and stuff outside. But I used to have a heavy bag, and I still do. I just haven't hung it in a while, but heavy bag in the back, and we used to do jujitsu at Ozzy's house in the back. Working out outside and getting used to that, it sucks because it's Florida heat. It's just so hot. The sun comes around and stuff. But I did notice that once I started working out inside, it almost like I couldn't breathe sometimes.
Inside?
Yes. I feel like the cold air would mess with my nose and my lungs, and I feel like I couldn't breathe sometimes.
Dude,
I feel like I literally couldn't breathe.
It might. I hate the cold, honestly. When it gets cold, it gets kind of cold here in Florida, and people kind
For
of
like a month and a
make
half.
fun of us. But I'm like, dude, it's freezing. I need a jacket, and
I
it
swear
hurts
to
your
God.
lungs. I hate running outside when it's cold. It hurts my lungs.
Yeah, cold.
For real.
Florida heat and Florida cold are just different.
Different.
They're just different.
Yeah, because
it can feel like it's, it can say it's 86 outside and it feels like 101, right? And then it can say it's like 55 degrees and it really is. If it says it's 55 and it feels like 40.
Yeah, no,
Right?
You ain't lying.
It doesn't make any sense. And then I remember I went to, where was it? Georgia a few years back, I think it was. And it was saying it was like 30 degrees outside. And I was like, this feels like Florida 50.
Yeah.
This feels like Florida 45-ish.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's
My
really
time in
weird.
Georgia,
Yeah.
it was freezing cold. I was hoping to see snow, but it wasn't snowing.
yeah. So
But it was just frigid cold. It was really windy too. It sucked.
Dude.
so the way I can say it is like when I was in Michigan, in wintertime, right around Christmas.
I heard that sucks.
Yeah, because
I can't imagine, bro. I
In-
can't imagine.
right on the lake, right? So you got the humidity just like Florida, and then you got the winds right off the lake at 22 degrees. There's not a single piece of clothing that you can put on that's gonna protect you. You know how they say like your body and the clothes, the right clothes create the bottom layer, whatever.
Yeah.
That's all bullshit because
Yeah,
that air,
yeah.
that humid air is everywhere, and a fucking wind just hits you,
Yeah.
and it just becomes a whole another like where your bones fucking hurt.
Right. Like you
And
feel
I
it in
come
the
from
bones.
and I come from a winter country. Like we're lucky to get fucking 2 weeks of sun in the summer, right? It's totally, the humid cold is different, man. Humid cold hits you different.
Yeah.
So
Like, I've gone fishing in the winter on a boat, and that's
No.
just something else.
Bad.
No, you
That
won't
shit
catch me
sucks.
out
Shit
there.
sucks. No, you'll catch
Nah.
some fish. You'll catch things like sheep's head mackerel. There's species during that time, but it sucks. It's just cold.
and it's really
And if
not,
you don't catch it, that's when it gets real
Nah,
bad.
man, that's misery.
That's
That's
bad.
misery.
And the worst part though is just going out and coming back. When you're on the boat moving, all the wind, all the
Dude.
water, the cold. Now once you get to wherever you're going, it's usually sunny on a day you're going out, so it feels nice. You can take off all your jackets and stuff. But the ride back and forth sucks.
Nah,
so
you won't catch me out there.
so you were about 20, and then you say you took a hiatus. How long was that?
The hiatus was kind of long, man. Like, so what I did, I realized I was like, I'm a broke fighter. Like, I'm broke. I need to figure it out. I need to get some benefits. You know what I mean? I need
Yeah,
to
you
get
did all
some
this
insurance.
training, yeah.
So I actually hurt my back too, training. So I was like, dang, what? I gotta think about the future, right? So I got into retail management. I was in management for a company called Buckle. I don't know if you guys have heard it. I think there's one. They're pretty much in every single mall. It's a clothing store. They have everything. They're really known for jeans.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what actually brought me out to Florida. Is I took over a store in Jacksonville, actually Orange Park, Florida. It's just over the bridge and from Jacksonville. But I ran that for a while. Then Oakley, the brand Oakley sunglasses. They have retail stores. They recruited me over. I worked for them in Orlando, so I moved to Orlando. I was an assistant there, and then I took over a store in Brandon, Florida.
Getting a
Ran
little
that.
closer.
Yeah,
Closer
ran that.
towards here, yeah.
Yep, exactly. And I did that all the way up until pretty much when COVID hit.
Right.
Like, I think I threw in the towel Christmas right before COVID hit. I think 2019 or 2020.
You were like, F this.
I was done. Yeah, I was done. Like, I was sick and tired of it. Like, dude, retail, you have no life.
Oh, for sure.
Like,
dude.
people
I
don't
relate
care,
to
like
that.
the people don't care about you. You know what I'm
No,
saying?
they don't.
Like, Christmas time is the
The worst.
the worst.
Working
And then
things like Black Friday and
Black
stuff
Friday,
like that.
yeah. And then like you can't have holidays off to see your family.
You can't, no.
Yeah, like you're pretty much you're stuck, and I was done with it. So from there, after like during the COVID, like I was getting working out, getting back in shape, and I started working at a boxing gym, and then I was like, I'm gonna still I can still fight. I'm still fast. I'm still fast. Then I started at this Muay Thai gym sparring on the weekends. And then from the Muay Thai gym, they asked me to run the boxing program. So I ran all the boxing. I was the head boxing coach for this Muay Thai gym. And then I was scheduled to have a Muay Thai fight up in like Boston, New England area, because Muay Thai is big up there.
Okay.
And then like that fell through. And then it's kind of a weird deal. Like my buddy Julian Lane walks into where I trained at the time, and asked my head coach to the owner of the gym asked him to hold mitts for him. I don't know if you guys remember Julian Lane, but he was
Sounds like a
Pull him
familiar
up.
name.
Pull him up.
when you guys see him, you're gonna be like,
Oh, I know.
yeah,
I know Julian
yeah,
Lane is.
yeah.
I think I know.
Yeah, you'll see.
I think I
You'll
know.
see.
Yes.
Let me
yep,
bang,
yep,
bro. Let me bang,
bro. Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So
That's funny. Yeah, I know
so
who that is.
Julian and I became became close, good friends. Once he started coming to the gym, and Bareknuckle was maybe 3-4 years, I think 3 years in, and like I knew it was out, and I was like, man, I will never, ever fight Bareknuckle ever.
Yeah.
And then
Last famous words.
yeah. And then Julian comes in, and I think this is about the same time that he started his career. Julian fought like I think BKFC 1 out in like the very first one. But anyways, Julian asked me to be in his corner for one of his fights when he fought Boswick. I can't remember his first name off the top of my head, but he fought Boswick in Miami. Me and my head coach at the time, we were in the corner, and then just seeing it live, I was like, this is not that bad. Like, this is not that bad. I was like,
This is the dude.
I can do it. Yeah, Boswick. Jake Brutal Boswick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I was in the corner whenever when
How,
Julian.
how big what's their weight class?
I believe that one was at 75.
Mm-hmm.
So.
So that's what 155.
No, that's 70. That 175.
175.
Yeah, not in kilograms. So I think that was 175. And then so I was there, I saw it live. My manager at the time came to our gym, or my manager, before he was my manager, he came to our gym to do an interview or to meet up with Julian one time. And he was like, hey man, like, we're bringing in the smaller weight classes, 125, and I think you would be a great fit, and like you can be a top contender for that weight class. And then I was like, you know what? I'm in. Like, I didn't have to go through the BKFC tryouts or anything like that. I was an OG. Yeah, I was an OG. I am an OG of the flyweight weight class because it was the last weight class that they brought in, other than the straw weights that for the ladies. But
Yeah.
and ever since I signed with Bareknuckle, I been ranked the entire time, and then I've fought for the very first flyweight title against the legend John Dodson. It was a good fight. Clipped me in my eye. I'll get him back. We'll run it back. But it was good. So that's how I got into Bareknuckle after I took a hiatus in retail world. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So let me ask you this. So you mentioned Muay Thai, right? So there's two types of kickboxing, right? Prominent in the world. One is Muay Thai, and then the other one is from Europe, right? Like, what's the difference between two?
So, like the European, like it's more like kickboxing is like the European style, like the Dutch kickboxers.
Yeah.
Those guys are awesome. So traditional Muay Thai what makes it different from like kickboxing is the tempo. Like Muay Thai is they're real slow starters. They'll wait. And then kickboxing, if you can think I would say it's similar to the tempo of boxing, like the catch and counters like boxing, but it's punch and kick.
Okay.
Yeah, so I would say that's the only real difference. And Muay Thai is a little bit like traditional Muay Thai is real. It's a little slow in the beginning, and they use more kicks. They're not quite as good boxers as some of the Dutch kickboxers.
And well, if they use more kicks, would that be fair to say that the Muay Thai kicks are much more deadly versus
yes, their kicks, their knees and elbows are much more deadly than well, kickboxing, you can't really throw elbows in like a kickboxing match, like a K1 match.
Right.
But you can throw knees.
Yes.
Yeah, so I would say Muay Thai, their clinch game and knees and elbows.
That's actually something that from what I've heard, Dorian is like the master at is the clinch game.
That's awesome.
Muay Thai.
Yeah, that's great because a lot of Muay Thai gyms in the US, if they don't have like a guy that's actually trained traditionally in Thailand, or they've trained under real Muay Thai guys, the clinch is terrible.
That's And the funny part is when I was talking to him about it, and he said, like, when I brought it up, he almost like was like, that's like the nightmare zone. That's like this reaction to it, right? Yeah. He said it's very dirty and messy, and it's just extremely brutal of the part of the sport.
Exactly, and it's very, very intricate in technical. So
shifting people's weight,
feeling where they're going, and then you can also sweep them too.
Right.
So it's very intricate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now going to boxing, right? So in boxing you have what the traditional boxing 16-ounce gloves, right? Then you go down to MMA.
Well,
what
no,
is
they don't wear 16-ounce gloves. They
10
wear like
10
10,
to
12.
12?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
fine. 10, 12. Well, we could talk about 16 because usually people train with 16, right? Like,
Yeah, you'll spar and train with 16-ounce gloves, 14-ounce
and then 10
gloves.
to 12, and then you go down to MMA, which is what, 4-ounce gloves?
Yeah.
And then you have bare knuckle.
Yeah.
What's the difference between traveling from the glove sizes, and why is it important to understand the different sizes of gloves?
It's so say if like a pure boxer fights with MMA gloves, the distance is off. You've got to be able to adjust the distance correctly. And then from going like wearing boxing gloves, training, sparring with 16-ounce gloves to bare knuckle, then the distance is even further, right? So,
And well, real quick, for those who think that's bullshit, that's the same thing Corey told me. That's the first thing Corey told me when I asked him about BKFC and bare knuckle and the difference. Keep going.
yeah, so the distance, if 2 inches or an inch and a half matters a lot.
Because your jab is where you're gauging the distance, right? That's what the jab is for, to gauge the distance, because the cross is coming,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, and so if you're unable to adjust that distance and your opponent does, like, you're gonna get beat every time. Bare knuckle, there's a and another note, like one of the reasons why I considered coming into bare knuckle is, as the years went on, they actually had some quality fighters come in. So I was like, it's not just like backyard brawls.
Right.
These guys aren't just, trying to kill each other. There's actually talented strikers that are coming into the game. So that really is what pushed me to sign with them.
Okay.
So if you have a guy that is able to make those adjustments in the fight, they're going to win every time. Or if you've got two guys that have made the adjustment, it's going to make for it. It's going to be an exciting fight regardless. It's going to be bloody, but it's going to be an exciting fight.
And the reason you say adjustment is because you can't train bare knuckle.
You can't.
So you have to make that adjustment in the fight, literally, basically, right? So
Exactly.
you can't, because no one's going to spar with you bare knuckle.
Right, exactly.
So can you also tell, because I know we had this conversation short, very small, when there was that boxing fight going on, the difference of when it does connect, the glove versus MMA glove versus
Also
a bare
very
knuckle,
important, right?
what's the connection like, and what is the damage that gets done
And
by
the
each?
adjustments you got to make too
Right.
from that connection.
So whenever you have the gloves on, even MMA gloves, like whenever you block and parry the punches, like you're able, like with a boxing glove, for an example, you're able to block, and you've got this big
Pillow.
yeah. And then MMA is a little smaller, and then bare knuckle it's just you
Your
got
hands.
the size of your hands, right? So the distance, whenever we talk about distance, it's being able to just be out of their range, but just enough to get back in your range to hit solid strikes. So blocking is more here, is more here, kind of like you see MMA guys, is more here. Parries are very important right here, and then if they're throwing hooks, it's all right there.
So you're using basically the outside part of the arm as a
Right.
glove to block everything.
Right, exactly. So like my chin's covered here, my side's covered here. So you've got to be able to know where you're at. A
And
lot
you're
of guys,
adjusting at the fly, right? Because
right,
even the placement of the arm is important.
right. So if he's throwing punches and then you see a hook coming, you've got to just be able to react, get that up there, then counter back. But the difference between getting hit with the glove, boxing or an MMA glove, boxing, like you can take it's thuds, right? It's thuds. You feel it. MMA, like they're a little harder because it's a smaller surface. And then when you get hit with bare knuckle, man, that it stings. It stings, boys. Stings and burns. It stings.
But is it you said it stings, so it's that sting, annoying sting, or is it like you are getting like?
I think it's a multitude of things. I think it's the thump. I think it's the friction of skin on skin is a big part. So it cuts the skin easier. It slices, and it's that when something hits you like a glove, it's like just that thump, like you said,
it's a
versus
thump.
that hand is that skin on skin friction,
Bone. Yeah.
direct bone.
Yeah.
It causes all those cuts, and it's like when you hit your if you hit your corner on your foot on the corner of a couch that's like padded,
Yeah.
versus like a hard corner.
Right.
Literally, like hitting your corner, like
Right.
on this granite right here.
Right.
Literally, is a difference.
Yeah.
Right.
It stings. So after like the first solid shot you take in bare knuckle, you're like, all right, yeah, I
This
felt
is
that.
what we're getting ready
yeah,
for.
It's
Okay.
it. We're here. And then after that, it kind of goes out the window. But the feeling is 100% different.
Because there's gotta be
Most
difference, right?
brutal for
Because
sure, huh?
bare knuckle, you're probably using these two knuckles more
Mm-hmm.
than anything, and then when you got the 12-ounce gloves, there's weight that's coming at you in addition to the fucking arm weight and
Right.
a fist weight. You got another 12 ounces that are flying at you. So do those fights, do those punches take a bigger toll or easier to knock out someone versus somebody that's doing bare knuckle, or there's probably about even if you get it right?
Yeah, I would say it's pretty much even if you get it right. I think it takes more damage in like a boxing match because you're getting hit hundreds of times, maybe 200s of times in the head.
Yeah.
And if you're a tough guy and got a tough chin, you're not going to go down, but you're taking the damage.
Right.
Your brain is taking
That
the damage.
thud every time, over
Yeah.
and over.
And if you can hit them square on the chin, they drop, or hit them square on the jaw, they drop. Bare knuckle, if you do the same thing, they'll drop. But in bare knuckle,
Damage is
You-
so much more substantial.
yeah, the only bad thing about bare knuckle, it's actually safer to the brain, bare knuckle, but you do get cut a lot easier.
Less thuds. Less
Yeah.
amount of thuds.
Less amount of thuds. So
You can only take so many right to the jaw, bare knuckle versus
Right.
with a glove.
But then when you
Right.
get cut, then you get then you get the face with all the scars. Now any minute touch, you get a cut because that
Right.
skin is already rougher, right? Like it's thicker, so it's much easier to cut, right?
right. I look handsome, boys. I still look good.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought BKFC, boy. That's for sure. For example, Corey's got his eyes like nice and cut up. He's got some permanent scars. Like you
Yeah.
look pretty good. Like your face hasn't got too beat up. You got the one on your eyebrow. That's about it, huh?
Yeah, I got the one on the eyebrow. Like you look close, I've got one here. I've got
You got
two,
the hair that
two
covers
of
it
them
a
here.
little bit.
Yeah,
so.
I've got two here. I've got some on my forehead. Down here, I got cut, and like it's
I think it's crazy when you see some guys, for example, like look at Glover. You know Glover Teixeira in the UFC. He fought. He was recently the champion at like 40-something years old. He got choked out by Yuri. You look at Glover now versus when he was like in his 20s when he started fighting.
Yeah.
Dude, his face is
Jacked up.
insanely different.
yeah.
It
Look
looks
at
like
Vanderlei Silva, man.
yeah,
Like,
there's
no-
just so many
or-
guys
or-
that
yeah.
have like this literally like extra cap of fucking scar tissue that's
Yeah.
been applied to the front
Yeah.
front layer of their face.
Or even
Bro.
Nick and Nate Diaz, they're both of them. Like,
Yeah.
they call him the paper skin, right? But like, there's a reason why it's paper skin because
I
they got
think-
punched so many fucking times in the face and so
Yeah.
many
Look
cuts.
at the best comparison to me is because Glover doesn't even look like the same person. Look at Glover back in like when he first started fighting before he got held off because he got held off from fighting because of a visa thing from Brazil for a long time.
So when was the fight career started around what 15,
Teixeira,
16?
TX,
About
something.
16, yeah.
16 years old. The reason I asked this is because I was watching Rogan, right, and he had Huberman on his podcast, and they were talking about fighters. When you start training fighters at a very
So
young
that's-
age, and they were talking about how Mayweather just stands there and he can kind of gauge when those fights are coming, and especially you can see this very well when he's fighting what's his name, Golden Boy,
Oscar De La Hoya.
Oscar De La Hoya, and as Oscar is like shooting these big hooks, Mayweather is just like whoop ducking it like an inch of a difference. Now, do you think starting at 15 that was a good idea? Should you have started earlier?
Just look up young
What do you
Glover.
think about that?
Yeah, I wish I would have started younger. And the only reason for that is because when you start young, your brain's still developing and you're able to understand it better as you grow.
Things become habits easier.
Yeah, it's easier.
Right.
And then the amount of amateur fights that you have as a young guy,
Put it
Yeah.
on that experience.
yeah, puts on the experience. That's why, some of these like who Lomachenko.
Yeah.
Lomachenko has like 300 plus amateur fights before he went pro.
Mhm.
And then you can see it when the guys that have had a a long, successful amateur career, and then they turn pros because it's different. There's definitely a big difference. Like you look at a guy like Lomachenko, and then you look at a guy like Deontay Wilder. He's only good because he's an athlete, right? Boxing skill wise sucks, right?
I mean, we saw that.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
more
saw that
recently.
recently.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he was a guy that maybe had like 2 or 3 amateur fights, then went pro because his size and stature, and the heavyweight division has just kind of filtered, petered off over the years. So he was going to do good regardless, and he was able to. He had the 1-punch knockout, and that's what made him good. He was an athlete. But if you look back 10, 20, 30 years ago, back those heavyweight guys, their boxing skill was amazing. Amazing. They moved like how Mayweather moved because of the amount of time and hours they put in their amateur careers and the training that they went through.
Why do you think we don't see heavyweights like that today?
Miggy, can you pull up
Because
Ilia Topuria?
because nobody. I saw Roy Jones actually hit it on the button one time in one of his
I'm gonna put it
interviews.
in the chat.
Is that people try to speed up their fight career, and then there's coaches out there now that don't really focus on the intricate details of the technique. Like you see guys that are so gifted in footwork and movement because the amount of hours that they had to do that same exact movement.
Right, 1,000 reps. We know that in the martial arts world, 100%.
Exactly.
1,000 reps.
Right. And then nowadays, like MMA, for an example, like you can be pretty good in boxing, and you can be pretty good in kickboxing, and you can be a black belt in jiu-jitsu, but be an excellent MMA fighter, right? Like you can be so in all the disciplines, but then be excellent as an MMA fighter.
Right.
In boxing, like you have to literally perfect the sweet science of boxing, and that takes years and years and years of work. Like look at guys like Roy Jones Jr. in his prime. Floyd Mayweather's one of the best. Like he's probably one of my most favorite fighters. Canelo Alvarez, he spent as a kid like all the amateur fights that he had, and look at him now. Like his movement, his timing, his he'll catch and then fire off a shot so sharp and precise that you're like, oh my God, like how did he even see that?
Yeah.
But it's so delicate that's the reason why the heavyweights lost sight, because they're big guys, athletic guys, and then they can take a punch. That's why you look at them now and like, they're not very skillful guys. But you look at the smaller guys that are still in the game that had long careers, amateur careers, there's a big difference in boxing rather than
100%.
fight.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna send the clip to Miggy right now. It's Ilia Topuria working with pads, and I want you to kind of comment on this. What do you think? What do you think is going on here?
He got his fight scheduled with Max, I think.
Yeah, he does have his fight scheduled with Max, and because I think exactly this kind of gonna show exactly what you're talking about. I'm hoping, so we can have some demonstration here. Miggy, I just posted that clip and I want you like just watch his moves. Look how many punches he's thrown damn near in 1 second. Look at that. And
But this is a certain kind of pad work because it's not very.
So, but the point is that guy, this is not planned, right? Like that guy is just throwing the movements, right? And he's ducking them within a half an inch difference. Look at that, and he just like catches it, sees it, moves out of the way, and continues.
Right. So those like the slips and rolls and the how we cut the angle at the end, like those things, like he worked on specifically with his coach.
Mm-hmm.
But this pad work is just a sequence, right? Mm-hmm. This is just a sequence that I could hold pads for you right now, and we could do this exact same sequence.
Right.
Your rolls and slips might not look as clean and as sharp as his, but we could still do that. But
that ducking, see, like this is what I'm talking about. That specifically that ducking where it's like barely.
And that's the amount of hours that he put in working slips and rolls, and then using those things in sparring. So
That's one of the
it
biggest
all
things about
snowballs.
defense when you're in all martial arts, right? Is exerting the most minimal amount of energy while doing so. Right. So he's basically learned the distance and spacing and all the things to be able to move exactly as much as he needs to dodge or move out of the way. Versus you put someone on mitts that goes to try and do their first lean, they're just gonna like lean all the hell over, and they're gonna go really far. Or they're gonna think it's just a simple move of the shoulder and like keep their head up, do the opposite, right? Not do it nowhere near as enough, kind of thing.
So
That's
what
1,000 reps.
Yes.
Yeah, but what do you?
What it is.
And correction from a coach.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what do you think?
1,000 reps doing it correctly.
Correctly.
So let's say someone wants to come in and they want to learn just a basic boxing technique, just basic, not professional, not even amateur level, like be better than, let's say, 95% of the people out there, right? How many hours would somebody need to invest into this, doing the same actual move over and over and over and over again to get to that level? What would you think?
I mean, like some of the guys that I've trained in the past, like I tell them like, hey, like you're not, like, if you want to fight, like I won't let you fight for 2 years. Right? Because some of the technique behind like a cross, like throwing your cross, it's like it doesn't even start in your arm, it starts in your feet, right? So it starts from your back foot. I tell people, hey, you need to squish the bug. Squish the bug. From the squish of the bug, you rotate your hips, and the natural movement from rotating your hips, your front shoulder goes forward. So it needs to all work in unison, right? So
I think you just need to mute
for somebody to perfect
Mute the road.
the technique
that scene
behind
did not
a
have the
cross, time-wise, I think it would take, I mean, you could teach somebody that in a month, that specific technique in a month.
But that's just one punch.
One punch, yeah.
I'm gonna play it safe.
And then what's crazy, that you asked me that question, is you can teach a woman technique better than a male. Do you know why?
They follow directions better.
Well, they follow directions better, but do you know why?
I don't know exactly why.
Because they're
I've
hip
always
move a
noticed
little
that
bit better.
All of that. But a man can get by with just using muscle. A woman has to do it perfectly technique wise to do it right. Like a guy can get by because they have muscle and they're strong.
Do it 70% right and recuperate the 30 because they're strength. Women's got to do 90 and only 10% can peak with a little bit of strength.
Right.
Well, that's everything with women, right? They're better at fucking shooting. They're better at learning how to shoot.
Right.
Like
they analyze things.
Jiu-jitsu, from what I've noticed, I've noticed girls way better technique.
Way
they learn faster.
Yes, because they have to do it right to get it right.
Even holding mitts for my girlfriend Emily, like doing that for her, and then like showing my friend Rodolfo to hold mitts. Yeah. She has learned like doing it the right technical way way faster than he did.
Right. Because men can get by with just using muscle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy. And I like to train women sometimes more than men because
progression's quicker.
It's quicker and they understand the technique better than men.
Now, let me ask you this. Now, I'm going to get a little political. If you don't want to get into it, don't. That's fine. What do you think with where you have, men crossing over to women division and with they're changing their gender and whatever. What do you think about that?
I personally disagree with it, right? Because we have two genders, male and female, right? Like simple as that. I don't care if you consider yourself a cat. Like it's all bullshit, really. There's two genders, male and female. The fact that now they're letting transgender, or they
athletes,
fight in opposite or compete in the men. He's a born man competing with women and destroying the game.
Bone density, testosterone,
everything. Like I 100% disagree with it, and it should be frowned upon because, like, if you like a woman that is like, okay, I want to be a man, goes and competes with the men, she's still gonna lose
Yeah.
to a real man.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It's just like, and then these men going into women's sports, they're like the Olympics. Like, this woman trained her entire career to just get beat by a biological man.
Mm.
You know what I mean? I disagree with it 100%.
So the question here, I guess, where I'm going with is, can because the majority of the time in the gyms you get the girls, and it's not really a girl environment. You know, it's become more prominent now where girls are joining the gyms and they're learning how to strike, do the jujitsu, whatever it is, right? But it's not as popular. It's still not as popular. I
For
mean,
sure,
I want to say
mostly men.
5 to 10% is girls, right?
Yeah.
Majority of the time they get to spar with the guys, right?
Right.
Like, and they're kind of getting used to the guys coming at them, right? Would you say in a lot of times that it's more of guys are taking it back a little bit, they're not really unleashing it completely, where uh, it's it's maybe putting them at disadvantage because you're not like going 100%, or you think that's a good thing that guys are pulling back because the damage done could have been
I
even
think
in
that's
this
all
regular
just up to
sparring.
conversation
Right.
and
And
communication between you and your partner, right?
right. And then another thing too is like, in every gym that I've been in, trained in, coached in, there's not male and female. Everybody's a fighter.
Yeah.
Or everybody's an athlete in these four walls. But men, like, of course, like if you're sparring a girl, you're not going to go all out and break her leg, kick her leg as hard as you can. You're
Yeah.
not going to do that. And same with her. If she starts going, she starts tagging you up hard. Like, you give her some hard shots. Let her know, like, hey, you're not going to take that. But
Number one rule always sparring: hit as hard as you want to get hit.
exactly. But from my experience and what I've seen, like, I haven't seen an issue with it. But I've also haven't been in a gym to where a trans person comes in. Like, if that's what they want to do, they can do that. I'm not going to be like, no, you got to get out of here. Like, you're not welcome
yeah.
here.
Right.
But again, through under this roof and in these four walls, everybody's a fighter. Nobody's a girl or a boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
That's a good way to look at
now,
it.
obviously, if the girl is training, and they've done training and they've reached some sort of a level where, maybe amateur, maybe above, they're probably going to be better than your average dude, right? Right?
Yeah.
They're just going to be better than an average dude, right?
Yep.
Now, if you take a professional female athlete, right? Where would you say they would rank in not skills, but as far as, putting damage in and actually winning? Where would that lie if you're comparing it to the man? Would that come in at the professional level? Would that come in just amateur, mid-amateur, beginner amateur? Like, how would that rank?
As per, like, levels of experience, coming in fighting against a male. So, like, a professional athlete, a professional
female athlete.
female athlete
Where do you
fighting
think she
a
would-
brand new male.
Yeah.
No,
What
not
do you
necessarily-
think she would rank in between a brand new male and a
All the way
pro
to the
male?
pro
Where
male.
does she rank in
Like
between?
that bracket, within that bracket of brand new first day versus like at
Pro
the peak
male.
of my
Where does
game.
that professional female rank in there?
She would be at the top with a professional male because she is just as skillful as that male.
No, but as far as like not the skill, but as
Actually
far
match
as
up.
taking the damage and being able to
Compete.
no, not compete, take this to the finish.
No, there's no possible way that she could take it to the finish.
So would she then, a pro female, be at an amateur level? Maybe that would be a good competition, or that's still not a good competition.
It's still not a good competition. Like, if a professional female boxer weighing 115 pounds sparring a guy that's just trained boxing for 2 weeks or 2 months at 115 pounds, that girl's gonna beat the hell out of him.
Mm-hmm. But how many guys are there 115 pounds?
That's besides the point. The weight class is the weight class.
Yeah.
Well, no.
How many months of training do you think a guy would need to beat the pro boxer, or how long would a guy need to be training?
6
kind
months?
of thing.
A year? 2 years?
I would say about a year. Say if like a 115-pound professional boxer that holds, multiple titles,
Right.
and a 115-pound guy that's trained a year in boxing, I would say the girl would 100% outbox the guy, but the guy, since he's stronger, may knock her out.
I see what you're saying.
Right.
Yeah.
He's gonna be able to take on the barrages, even though he's
Right.
gonna get hit all those times. Be able to power through and probably catch her with one good one, and that's about it.
Right.
I get what you're saying there.
Yeah.
Still gonna outbox her, outclass her, more technique,
Yeah.
so on and so forth. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So so that's where we're placing them. Now, you alluded to this a little bit earlier when you said you fought at a higher weight class, and they're like, no, this is not working for me. I need to drop the weight. Now, can you talk about how much of a difference it is? Like, why do we have weight brackets, and why is there like even a 10-pound difference? That's like a difference. Like, can you go into that a little bit more?
I mean, the reason why we have weight classes is just to put all the competitors at somewhat of a level playing field. Even though all these fighters and competitors, they drop from like some of them go from 40 pounds heavy to their weight class.
Right.
Because I as far as I know, jiu-jitsu is probably one of the only sports that like on a professional level that allow you to have the open class category,
Right.
which is basically anyone
Can go against
Yeah.
any. Thing is with jiu-jitsu, it's such a very intricate, delicate type of sport that anybody, any size, like I've seen little guys tap out these gigantic men.
Yeah.
And
like Mikey Musumeci against the Iranian guy, I think.
Demetrius
Right.
Johnson just won he won a brown belt tournament in the absolute division as well, going against a 260-pound
right. I think I just saw that. I just saw a highlight of that recently. Not
Yeah, he bow and arrowed him.
Yeah.
Is what he did.
Well, Demetrius Johnson, number one, he's a accomplished MMA fighter. I think the amount of time he's put in on a mat to get to where he is, like, overshadows the amount of time that the 260-pound guy. Not to take anything away from the 260-pound guy, but he's a different type. Demetrius Johnson is an athlete, like kind of like what you take to Poirier, right?
I think
like
he's probably the GOAT.
yeah, no, he is. He's
I think
he's the goat.
I think it's the two things is with Demetrius Johnson is you look at accolades, just with that he's in the conversation. Then you look at technique, and you're like, okay, there is no conversation.
So,
Yeah,
so
yeah, exactly.
arguably most accomplished female UFC fighter. What's her name?
Amanda Nunes.
right?
She is the most accomplished.
Yeah. So fights at what 160, I think.
No, what are you
What-
talking
she
about?
was just 45, right?
145.
She fights at 125 and 135 pounds.
Okay.
So 125.
they had
She's a big girl. She's a big girl.
Yeah, so
not
they,
a fight weight.
so they have 115.
145, but she probably cuts, here and there because the girls don't really reach.
They don't
that.
have an 100.
Yeah,
I don't think they have a
they don't reach that,
145
yeah.
pound division for the girls.
Yeah, and she.
They have
how
a
tall is she?
35 and
5'8"?
25, right?
They have a
135,
15,
138.
25, 35. And then 35 wasn't even really used. That's why they were calling her like a phony double champ. Because if you went to the UFC, this shit was kind of funny. If you went to the UFC rankings when she was double champ
Yeah.
and went to the bantamweight division, it
There's
showed her
like
as a
3
champion.
girls.
Zero.
Oh, really?
Zero contenders in the division.
Wow.
Yeah.
Zero.
So
I think they
135.
recently like started fighting again in that division after she was gone.
So 135, right? She's 135 pounds. She
Yeah.
probably cuts down about 20 pounds, I would say, maybe 30 at the most.
She was 135 and 120. I think I won 125 pound champion.
Yeah.
Both.
But no, what I'm saying is at 135, she probably cuts maybe 20, maybe 30 pounds, right? Like,
Yeah.
cuts down. Where would you place Amanda Nunes as far as the brackets go? Like, how would you have her if there was no gender divisions? How would she perform? You think? Would she even make
would
the
be
cut?
No, she would be at the top, man. Like, she can box. She can grapple. She's amazing, well-rounded MMA fighter. Like, even if it was just a stand-up kickboxing fight or a Muay Thai fight, she would beat the hell out of a guy. Even though the guy may knock her out because he's strong, but that man will be jacked up by the end of that fight. He'll be messed up. Any 35er. Who's really good at 35 in the men's division?
35. You have
125.
So you have Sean O'Malley, you have Merab Dvalishvili, you have Marlon Vera, Jose Aldo.
And then you got
all
the
those guys
ones-
are on those
Think of
30.
like TJ Dillashaw, right?
Right.
Amanda Nunes. I think she would give him the work.
You think so?
Honestly, yeah.
TJ Dillashaw.
Yeah, he's quick and he's snappy, but she is good. She's rangy. She knows what she's doing. TJ Dillashaw, you know, he's got his style, but I feel like she will give it back to him.
Okay.
Like if you go, what guy? Think about what kind of guy kind of has her style of fighting. That was a 135er.
I think Marlon Vera is very similar. Very like box, squared up, kind of straightforward.
Stand in front.
Stand in front.
Yeah.
Durable.
Yeah.
Now, put it up against like Marlon, she's not damaging Marlon. Marlon's a fucking tank.
Yeah, a tank.
He can take a beating from a man, so she's not putting damage on him. Would outpace him. He's got no output. No.
He's like one of those GTA cars. You can smash them into anything, but they'll still work.
Yeah, he's never been knocked out. Never. Marlon,
yeah.
Never.
But there's many guys in that division that she could definitely sit and bang with. No problem.
I really agree with your standpoint on this 100% in the sense where I think she's going to give him a run for their money. At the end of the day, though, the guy's going to have that power on his hand.
The power, yeah.
Right? And at any moment, we can knock her out. But at the end of the day, at the same time, she has an extreme amount of technique.
Yeah.
She's extremely strong.
Yeah.
So what she's saying, she will outlast, if she doesn't get knocked out, she will outlast the 5 rounds and then maybe win by the points.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a good possibility that she could win by the points.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. If for whatever reason her chin holds up, yeah, she can
Right.
definitely win by a technical.
I mean, we don't need to go that far.
Or think about her fighting a 25er, a male. She will beat. I think she'll beat the hell out of that guy.
Do you think she beat the hell out of what's his name? The Mexican kid, 125. Brendan Moreno.
I think he would have some problems.
Yeah.
Some serious problems with her because she's bigger than he is. Like
taller.
Yeah.
Stockier.
Yeah.
I mean, we just saw what's his name, Craig Jones go against
Gabby
Garcia,
and huge.
And Gabby Garcia is big, but Craig Jones was drinking right before the fight, right? Like
it got her in about probably 4 different submissions before finally getting her with
and
the
let it
one.
go, yeah.
Yeah, and just was literally putting them in, get them right to the end, and then just move to something else. I think, but jiu-jitsu is one of those where, like you said, there's an absolute division for a reason, and that reason is because it's one of those that, because there's no striking and no actual contact, right, the strength doesn't have as much of a play. Now, it does with leverage, right, because it's grappling at the end of the day, and that's why there is still weight divisions, right?
No, I think strength does play a role. I mean...
That's exactly why I just said. That's why there is still weight divisions, but it's one of those where, if technical enough, strength is out the window.
Right.
Yeah.
If technical enough, strength is literally out the window.
Right.
So that's why you have the absolute division. And with jiu-jitsu, I mean, I think that it's one of those where at the end of the day, the men and girls are just still too far apart.
Yeah. Right.
So with jiu-jitsu, sadly, it's just not enough. Not enough technical is gonna do it.
Well, it's not just the technical. I mean, you guys have tried. Like, we'll be rolling, and then you guys will try to pull my arm, and you can't. Now imagine your girl trying to pull my fucking arm.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? It's just, you can't compare that.
Now, of course, though, this is the thing. In jiu-jitsu, there's always 1,000 doors to walk through in any position. Any position, right?
That's true.
And a lot of those doors involve using some strength, and a lot of them don't.
Jay, I'll tickle the shit out of you and open up those arms easy.
Huh?
I'll tickle the shit out of you.
Oh yeah, well that worked.
Yeah,
but they've done this. Actually, there was this whole Reddit thread that was going on. There's this guy basically signed up for it. He was at 180 pounds and he's never done any martial arts. Pretty fit guy. Got a long ponytail. I don't know if you look on YouTube, maybe you'll find it. But he went against one of the UFC champs who was a female, right? And she ended up tapping him, or winning against him, but only because he ended up gassing out. Like he didn't have the conditioning for it. And they actually put this competition, like quasi-competition together. Yeah. And she was you could tell she wasn't preparing for this. She was not in her perfect shape, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then she ends up like outpacing him with stamina and then just choking him out because at one point he's like not even lifting his arms, moving him out of the fucking way. Right?
I think in a controlled setting, and this is what I'm going to say, in a controlled setting, a trained person will always beat an untrained person.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The reason I say in a controlled setting is because I can just grab a fucking bottle and smash your head if I don't know any training, right? That doesn't matter. kind of thing, or I can just slam you, whatever it is. The concrete's a big thing
Right.
on the street, so that's what I say in a controlled setting.
Right.
Anything like, for example, the famous video of that fucking Reuter going into jiu-jitsu gym. He gets fucked up by the coach, and then the coach, like, as a joke, like, literally takes one of the girls that's
Purple
a purple
belts,
belt, and she literally put him to sleep.
Oh my.
Yeah.
And this was like a
But that
Reuter, like,
granted-
big as fuck, 6'2", probably 280 pounds, like, and she just put him to sleep.
Yeah, but granted that the coach already went a
Yeah,
couple
the
of rounds
coach-
with
the
him, so he
the
was
coach
like
had already
done.
fucked him up.
He's
Like,
done.
he
The
was-
coach had already fucked him up, that's for sure. But I mean, she probably was 160 pounds lighter than the dude.
Well, I mean, I don't
Wow.
know. I don't know if you watched Justin going against Shaq. You ever seen that?
Uh-uh.
Who?
Justin,
Justin.
UFC Justin.
What are you talking
Gaethje?
about?
Gaethje, yeah, not Gaethje, but not Gaethje. What am I talking about? Not the guy from Louisiana. Dustin Poirier going against. I think it was Dustin going against Shaq, and
I know Dustin did some stuff with the Mountain. I've seen him grappling with the Mountain. That
Mountain
was
as
pretty
well. Yeah,
cool.
and so
Choked
there we
him
go.
out, too.
Really?
Yeah, so when Shaq pretty much lays his weight on Dustin can't really move, and he's a black belt at jiu-jitsu.
Right.
But of course, Shaq is what 7'2", fucking 300 some pounds. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's a
He's-
big weight
I
difference.
think he's 7'1", 7'2", yeah.
Yeah, big weight difference. But that's why I was going with the weight classes, just to like. A lot of people don't understand that even 10 fucking pounds, it means a lot.
It
Like,
does.
It means a lot. Whether it's carrying a punch, whether it's carrying whatever it is, it just means a lot.
Right. Yeah, it does. Especially in the striking game. Like, there's no way. I mean, back in the day, I knocked out this guy that was like a giant in the street. But if he was trained,
It'll be a different story.
it'd be a different story.
100%.
Yeah.
But then again, you know what? What would you say? I mean, the amount of experience that you have, right? And I want you to toot your horn a little bit on this one, right? Because you have the accolades, and I want you to be like fair about it. What would you say, like, if you took the entire America, 370 million people, right? What would you say percentage wise? 99% of the people can do nothing to you. 99.99% cannot do anything to you. Or would you say it's more 95? Like, what would you say? That because there's always a dude that's gonna, when I see red, nobody can stop me, right? Those are the guys that usually fall very quickly.
Yeah.
One leg kick.
Bro, yo, 98% because half of the people are lazy.
You still say 98%? I
I
would
would say
think the
98%.
percentage would be higher.
I would say 98% because some of them,
Percentage of America that trains in martial arts. You don't look that up, maybe?
yeah, I bet you that.
But this will also contain all the boohoo martial arts. You know what I mean? And I'm not going to go into what martial
Bullshido?
arts are
The
Bullshido,
Bullshido?
yeah. But we all know there are a bunch of Bullshido martial arts studios out there.
28%.
You 28 US adults participate in
Okay,
martial arts.
and then let's say a solid
Well, the-
15% of those are actual applicable martial arts towards actual real combat. And then probably only 5% of those even train,
Right.
right? And then you're top ranked within those. So, 98, 97%
Yeah,
probably
I'd
around
say
there.
about 98% for sure.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Now, what would you
Makes
say?
sense.
Somebody came in and said, "Hey, JR, I know you're working at UFC Gym. By the way, shameless plug, guys. Come see you, JR, or see
Eddie.
or see Eddie. You know, sign up for it." Somebody comes in and says, "Hey, JR, train me." You start training him for about a month or 2 months. Where would you put him, the percentage wise?
Going off that percentage,
Yeah, because it said about 5% of United States do some sort of martial arts,
yeah.
and about 0.8% do mixed martial arts.
That's what it said. That said 28% of adults say they practice.
Yeah.
Practice, yeah, but then see,
So an estimated 5% of adults say they participated in martial arts last year at least once.
Oh,
and a
at least
quarter of
once.
those 28% say they do martial arts at every chance they get.
Yeah. So and then it also said that if you go back up a little bit, Miggy, it said 2.5 million people, which puts you right at around 0.8%. It's not even a full percent that do mixed martial arts
Yeah.
in 2022, right? So taking these numbers in, what would you say you would put somebody that trained only for a month or two?
I would put them at. I'd put them right there with the people that train
Go.
every day
Yeah.
because
Oh.
because
I was gonna say 2 months is not enough.
yeah
I mean,
because if I had a guy for a month, he would already understand that it's a process, and that process is 98% him, literally 2% me. Or you can do the 90-10. But it's 98% him and 2% me showing him, coaching him, and spending time with him. But he's got to show up every day. So I would put him up there. Yeah.
So guys, if you ever wanted to protect yourself, protect your family, know at least what you're doing, and not just say when you see fucking red, here's the shameless plug, come to the UFC gym. Get that training in. We're gonna have all those classes: boxing, kickboxing, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, sambo, judo, whatever you want to do. We're gonna have all of that there for you, right? So anyway, but yeah, so we're doing this project right now, right? We got a bunch of guys on board, bunch of really good guys. You, Dorian, Ben K. We got another Brazilian black belts that's coming down. That's already very accomplished.
very accomplished Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belts.
Yeah, another kickboxing coach that's coming to the one that you're gonna be in. What would you say you would rank this specific gym? Even though this is a family gym, but if somebody wanted to take this serious, how would you rank this gym?
With all the coaches that I know that are on board, it's world class. These guys have accomplishments that none of these some of these gyms have. These guys have fought overseas. They've been on TV shows. They have all the accolades. They have the experience. And experience says it all. So it's definitely world class. If you're gonna get world class training at UFC gym,
and this is one of the kind, right? No one within the entire chain has anything like this going on, right? I mean, we're clearly not talking about California, those American top teams, or that are.
But those are all fight gyms.
Yeah.
Right. Majority of the people going there are going in because they want to become fighters. Right. The whole thing with the UFC gym is that it's for everyone. Right. We're gonna have a pro and amateur fight team. We're gonna be supporting fighters and having fighters do their camps out of our gyms and stuff. But at the same time, we're going to be running classes for the average person that just wants to come in and get some basic training on some skills and technique, or just looking to do workouts and do fitness training for boxing, kickboxing. Because some people like to just hit the heavy bag to get a workout in.
Yeah.
Doesn't necessarily want to learn skills and technique, but they like using boxing, kickboxing to get a sweat. So we have that as well. It's for everything.
Now that we got the shameless plug out of the way, so let's go back to BKFC, right?
Okay.
So how many fights have you put in to that as of right now? What's the contract like? How many more you have?
So right now I'm 6 fights in with the BKFC. They just recently asked last year if I wanted to sign a multi-fight deal. As of right now, I said no, but technically I'm tied to them for at least 3 years. Mm-hmm. Every contract I sign, I can't fight for any other promotion for 3 years. But technically, I'm not on a multi-fight contract. I would say it'd be kind of like a multi-fight contract, but each fight is not already negotiated pay-wise.
Right.
So one thing I do tell, it's good. It is good to be locked in and sign a multi-fight deal because you're guaranteed money. But when it comes down to it, you also got to think of yourself as a business, right? So if you're a guy that has made a name in the promotion and has fought multiple guys that are really good guys, it's better. But say if you are coming in as a somebody that, okay, this guy can be really good in me in KFC, it'd be perfect to sign a multi-fight deal, and here's why. When you sign a multi-fight deal, say like you sign, I don't know, we'll keep the numbers small. So 5, 10, and 15. So they got 3 fights, 5, 10, and 15. So if a guy, for an example, does a great job with 2 fights, right? And then signs a multi-fight deal, and then he's got to fight a guy like Chad Mendes, and his first fight on that multi-fight deal is only $10,000, and he's fighting Chad Mendes. That's where it's like, damn, I shouldn't have signed the multi-fight deal. I should have been able to negotiate.
But
what I'm
would they
getting paid.
even put him with Chad Mendes?
Something like that would happen. It happens. It happens.
Because
all
if
the
you
time.
built your name through those first 2 fights,
right,
that third one they might give you something high,
a higher paying guy, like a guy with a bigger name.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you're stuck with that third fight deal already when you could have just waited out and gone fight by fight and negotiated as your popularity built.
Right. So there's so many examples that I've heard of and that has gone through that these guys have signed a multi-fight deal. They've killed it, like their first couple fights in BKFC, knocking the guys out in the first round and then fighting for the title, right? Then they get their next in line to fight for the title, but their last fight on their multi-fight contract is, I don't know, I'll keep the numbers small, 10 grand. And they're fighting, say, like a, Eddie Alvarez for the title. You know what I'm saying? Like, and Eddie Alvarez is getting paid $350,000.
Right. But
you signed your contract
to do it at
10 grand. So if you win, right, you hold the belt, then you can renegotiate your contract. So it's very important to have a team surrounded by you, have a manager that knows what he's doing, and also being able to treat yourself like a business first.
Yeah.
Because, I've heard, stories of, fighters that are, before they sign with BKFC, that they're studs coming from another promotion. And they already, word on the streets is that they're going to do really well. Then they sign a multi-fight deal. Their first fight, they kill it as the promotion already knows. Then they hand him some guy, an ex-UFC guy, that he's only getting paid 10 grand or 8 grand his second fight because he signed a multi-fight deal.
Right.
So I think personally it's better off to sign a fight like per fight deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got you.
But that all depends on the manager that you have, because a lot of times you come in zero experience. So it's good to have people like you in their corner where you're gonna be like kind of talking in their ear, like, bro, it might not be the best thing, right?
Right.
Or knowing, let's say, knowing the industry so well, it could be like, hey, listen, why don't we just do this our way? Why don't I be your manager, and then I can get you the connections and kind of coach you what's the right way for you to go, because I see the potential here, right?
Exactly. So say if, like, for an example, right now I have my own management company. It's Lion Management. And, I started it a year or two ago. I don't have a lot of fighters on there. I don't want to take care of a lot of fighters. I want to maybe have 8 to 10 max. And the reason why is because, one, they've got to be, great athletes, great fighters inside the ring, but they've got to be good people outside the ring. They've got to be marketable. They got to be, they've got to be able to carry themselves right. They've got to be likable by people, so I want to keep my stable small. So for an example, I've got a guy, Guto. He's a monster. He's from Brazil. Coach Benke knows him really well, and we're talking about him. And I had him last year. He was going to be a top. He was going to really do very well in the heavyweight division, and he still can. But he ended up, right before, like, I had the deal done, like, we were there where he's going to get some pretty good money his first fight. Obviously, his second, third fight, fourth fight, we're going to be bigger. He's a heavyweight guy. But it would have been a good starting point for him to get into Bareknuckle, and the heavyweight division. We already know that he was going to do really well because he's got an outstanding background. He fought in one. He's fought K1. Like, he's a big name.
Okay.
Still a big name. But he ended up taking a different fight. We kind of lost connection a bit. And then he's officially signed back with me. He actually sent over the contract today. And now I've got to restart the process working again for him. So it's just like, with my experience and having the right guidance from my manager, he's kind of showing me the ropes and guiding me in the right direction, how I can take care of my own guys.
Right.
It's best for, like, a guy like Guto to beginning have a good showing, one fight deal, and then after he wins in extraordinary fashion, then we can see about maybe a multi-fight deal.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Now let me take the.
I don't want to keep JR too long. We've already hit that 10:30 mark. So just whatever you got to say, Jay, and we'll wrap it up. Right?
Is that cool?
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to take the conversation away from this and go into these exhibition fights, like one we had not long ago with Mike Perry and the one of the brothers, right?
You were there, weren't you?
Oh, yeah, I was there.
Yeah, you were there.
as well, yeah.
Yeah.
What do
that was
you
a good
think?
night. I
What do you
enjoyed it.
think about that? What do you think about that? Like the Jake Paul thing, you know, what do you think about this whole
So in the beginning, I was like, here, like all these influencers, YouTubers want to come over and start fighting and doing combat sports. Over time, right? Over time, I have grown to respect what Jake Paul has done. Like he treats himself like a professional athlete. And now some people will disagree with me. Like he is now a boxer. Like he is a boxer. Like just because he's put in the time, he's put in the work, even though like he picks and chooses, you know, who he's fighting, that's business, right? That's what's going to make the most money. But you know, now since Jake Paul's kind of paved the way of these influencers training to be real athletes, to be real boxers, you know, I like it now. I like it now. There's some of the guys that are coming over doing these, they're obviously terrible at boxing or terrible at, you know, kickboxing, whatever they're trying to do, influencer boxing wise. Some of them are terrible, but there's some guys that are really taking it serious and they really have skill, and I appreciate that. And you know, some of these, like, if somebody offered me a big amount of money to do an influencer fight, to fight some big YouTuber, I would 100% do it, 100% do it, and I would hope that he's taking the time to train good, because like it would be an exciting fight. Yeah, it would be an exciting fight. For sure. And they're treating it like they're real boxers, and that's what I like about it. So I'm on board with it now. Yeah.
I think the really cool thing about it is the best thing is it brings new eyes to the sport.
It does.
And it gets more people interested in martial arts and more people training. And I'm all about the whole world training.
Yeah, absolutely. And what Jake Paul has done is good. Just like you said, it's bringing new eyes to the sport, whether it's martial arts, boxing, whatever. It's getting guys to be less lazy and using their camera to make money. Now they're like, oh, I'm actually gifted in something else other than being an idiot. You know what I mean? So it's good. It helps. It's good for the world. I like it.
That's a good way to actually wrap up today's episode. So hopefully this will just be a part one. I think we didn't cover as much as I would hopefully would have covered, but it's all right. If Jared we'd love to have you on again in the future. Thank you for coming on, brother. I really appreciate you coming.
Yeah, absolutely. It was fun.
Really appreciate it. Thank you, everyone in the chat today. Everyone, go ahead and like, subscribe, comment. Don't forget about UFC Gym in Largo and in Pinellas Park, and then Vitality Wellness Center. Go check those things out. Links in the description. Come see me or JR about the UFC Gym. See you guys next week. We have a cool guest for Tuesday, I think.
Peace. I confirm today.
You talking, Mike?
Yeah.